Hey, what's up everybody? Ed the Pond Professor here. I'm coming to you from the northern part of Australia. We're getting our way up towards Mission Beach, and check this stuff out. This is our first stop. We're up in the rainforest area and we are checking out some of the natural rivers and streams and waterfalls. This is the stuff that I love. I mean, this is what gives us the inspiration. This is where we come up with our ideas. I'm a big guy that actually loves to do biomimicry techniques. And what I mean by that is I want to deconstruct this type of waterfall in my head, figure out flow rates, look at the way the rock structures are going in place, how all that stuff interacts together to create that effect. It's unbelievable. Check out this group of people down below. This is all the master certified Aquascape contractors, as well as the artists of the year. What I want to talk about is this is exactly the way we would design and build a water feature. We have our main big boulders. We're calling those our frame rocks. They're framing out the waterfall. And then in between, we have other smaller stones that we place in between those bigger rocks just to create that desired effect. But I love this. I mean, check that out. We have all this water just going through this narrow little slot, and you could see all that turbulence. I mean, that stuff is just eroding away everything. Water is the most powerful force on planet Earth. It will cut through solid rock. And we're in a rainforest, so they get a heavy amounts of rain coming in here. All that rainwater is gonna pick up dissolved compounds from the surrounding hillside, pick up silicas, sand, and once it becomes in a solution, it's just gonna carve its way through everything. The power of water is incredible, shapes our planet. It delivers the necessary nutrients to all the plant material and then cycles it all back down to the ocean, and then it returns the cycle through evaporative transpiration, and it goes back up into the upper atmosphere in the form of clouds, and then it's going to come back down as precipitation. Really, really, really cool stuff, but I love this look of stone. I mean, just check this out. I am gonna have to actually put my camera away. I have to get in that water. So stay tuned throughout this journey. We're gonna be showcasing different waterfalls, different streams, different types of effects that we see throughout this natural area. Like I said, this is what gets me inspired. This is the way nature intended water to be. That's what we're trying to replicate. Awesome stuff. Check it out. Came down a little bit closer for a better look at all this stuff. We were just jumping off this cliff. So much fun. This is nature's playground at its finest right here. I deconstruct stuff. So looking at rock formations, looking at how rocks are in position. This has all just been eroded away over time. So as all those heavy rains come down, this is the exact feature that we just built on a much smaller scale for the Gibbon exhibit over at Wildlife HQ. And it's because we're recreating a rainforest watershed. This is all bedrock over in here. That stuff has not been moved. That has been washed downstream. That has been pushed into that position. Again, bedrock over on that side. I can tell by the look of that, the striations, the way nature positions things. It's haphazard because of the force of the water. Man, I love it. Water comes in, found a little bit of a crevice. So these are two big giant chunks of stone. There was probably just a little channel in here, and that water started going, and it just literally cuts its way right through it like a knife. I'm always fascinated by this type of stuff. You got some of these little trees that's going to grow right in that wet zone, and it clings, it just holds on to all that stonework. The root system is going to grow down inside of it. That's all part of that filtration system. You're not going to see a lot of marginal aquatic vegetation here, and that's because the water velocity is way too high. It's all also rock. There's very little areas for vegetation to grow, so it all gets swept away during the rainy periods. This little backwater area, so the majority of that flow is going to cut through. So you can see some vegetation starting to grow in there because that's actually going to be a little bit slower water back in that spot. So the vegetation will have a chance to hold on. Check out this mass migration. The entire floor here is just crawling. Wow. All right, check this thing out. The Cathedral Fig here in the tropical rainforest in northern Australia. You can't even, that's like a whole ecosystem in itself. I mean, you could just see all these clusters of ferns and all that stuff up in there. They're gonna have all types of little things that live in there that are not found anywhere else. Really cool. Check out, you can see the scale Got the guys over here. That's a massive tree. That's awesome. So we just arrived at Mossman Gorge. This is a really cool place. We had a lot of rain. This is the wet tropics, but the problem with this is we don't know what the water quality is going to be like or what the conditions will be like from a safety perspective. So let's go take a walk. Check out the water quality over here. Looks pretty good, even though we've had a little bit of rain, but this is a pretty clean watershed. So you look at the vegetation and everything around the perimeter, the type of the watershed is going to dictate the water quality within it, even during heavy rains. 12 plus meters, you know, that's up in the 40 feet of rain per year range. That's insane. This is exactly what we do when we're designing water features. We're always putting in strategically positioned boulders, kind of create increased currents in certain areas, and then it creates little slow backwater areas over on the backside, and that really creates those little habitats for different types of fish. Here we have a perfect example of what's going to happen in a tropical rainforest. So I mean, just look at the heavy vegetation. This is the type of stuff that gibbon exhibit at Wildlife HQ. But we want to set the stage. We want to have some elevation changes. We want to have some pooling areas, cascading waterfalls, little plunge pools. Recreating this type of an environment will make those animals feel more at home, as well as it will depict the right picture to all the viewers that are going to come through the facility on a daily and a yearly basis. We have an area on the other side of the river over here. I just swam from over on that side. That's just a big, massive bedrock. So that's the bedrock that's underlying this entire mountain range. But then down here in the foreground, we have all these rounded boulders. So these guys have come busted apart, come washing down the river system from higher elevations. They are obviously water worn, which is going to create the round shapes to them, versus the bedrock, which is going to be very angular. So all that rock over there, a lot of angles, completely different look and feel to it. And then these rocks come tumbling down. Remember, when we're talking about an ecosystem, it's not just one component. We're trying to tie everything together. We're looking at the water, we're looking at the stone, we're looking at the plant material, we're looking at the substrates, the benthic areas, you name it. All those different things work together to create the desired effects, as well as the stability in the ecosystem. So here is one of the jungle perch right tucked in here. Really cool fish. And then there's also, what did you call it, Patrick?
The eeltail catfish, the tannins.
Sitting right on top of that rock.
Yeah, well, they drilled nests
over there. Awesome. A little bit of tannins in here, huh?
Yeah, a little bit.
But that's because of the high biomass. You got all that leaf litter coming down into the watershed. That's going to release all different types of tannic acids and everything. It's going to create a soft water situation. Also going to eliminate a lot of algae. You're not going to see a lot of algal growth in this type of an ecosystem. So clear water, a lot of rock, boulders, sand bottom mixed in, a little bit of that tannic acid, and this is going to be the effects of that. I think it's just spectacular. The incorporation of logs in here, just washing downstream, cascading boulder falls. Look at that. Nature at its finest. Little tributary dumping its way into the bigger river system here, Mossman Gorge. This is a little spillway area, some fast moving little riffles and things, but look at that water clarity. And it's a good place for catching fish. And we're gonna try to catch some of these right at the Outfall. I've done this since I was a kid. I did that in college. Let's go see what they got. Oh, check it out. We got a gudgeon.
Purple spotted or purple cheeked.
Beautiful.
Yeah, beautiful fish.
He's cool.
Yeah.
Eelgrass. Bellison area.
Oh,
You got a little prawn in there?
two of them.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
Another one?
Oh, nice. Oh, those are beautiful. Yeah. Look at those.
They get to probably about that.
That's awesome.
There you go, little fella.
Those are cool.
Let's have a look in here. The tan,
Oh,
yeah. Mouth of Mighty.
guy. He's awesome.
Yep. Then we have the tandanis, which is the eeltail catfish.
coming to you from Patrick Hanley's place. We're in the northern part of Australia right now, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you over by his recreation pond that he built a couple of years ago. Check out some of the local things, the rivers, the lakes, the coastlines. We want to find areas that give us the inspiration, the way all this different stuff interacts to create this incredible beauty of northern Australia. Let's go check out his pond. Fish have been released. They're going to start to acclimate to the system here, but we were catching them in aquatic vegetation up in the sand beds where those rocks and all that overhanging plant material was located. So that's exactly where these fish are going to go. This is part of a food chain. So there are some apex predators inside of this. So some of the smaller fish will get eaten, others will start to reproduce, others are going to fill the role of planktivores and herbivores, and they're going to be feeding on all the material that's actually growing natural here because of the abundant sunshine, because of the heavy rainfall, because of the watershed bringing in nutrients, which feeds a little bit of an algal bloom. So you're going to look inside of here, you're going to see some rocks are really, really clean and clear, but then others are going to get a little bit of a bioslime on it. That's exactly what we're looking for. That's what we're hoping for, because that's what would happen in a natural aquatic system. Over here in the background, that is the Coral Sea. So this is actually just a little bit of a bay on the Coral Sea, but still, and then he has this beautiful recreation pond that's coming down this natural slope that he has here on the property. So he's done a really, really good job of kind of blending this into the surrounding environment. But then he has this, it's kind of like a small oasis pool here. So it actually kind of has all this vegetation kind of wrapping itself around, and it's blending into the surroundings. And here we have the beautiful pool itself, and I love this look right here. I mean, you crouch down and look at this. He has a negative edge over here, so we have that expansive water coming down. It's going to overflow over that edge into an area. From this location, it actually looks like this is an actual jungle pool, a stream system that would come out of the forest itself and then lead down into the small bay. The water is pristine. It's got a healthy community of fish life inside of here. It's got beautiful water lilies. Some of my favorite areas whenever I'm looking at water features like this, designing, building. Remember, this is an ecosystem pond. The beauty of an ecosystem pond is you're setting up the right system for success. So here you see big boulders, river rock, aquatic vegetation, water lilies, water, sand, stonework on the bottom, all these different elements working together synergistically to create this beautiful effect. This is the location where the actual recreation pond discharges over that negative edge. What a negative edge is, it means we have that water flow coming across and it looks like it just dissolves into the background. The other thing it does is it really utilizes area that you have a lot of slopes coming down. So because of the natural topography of the area, everything naturally wants to flow down into this corner. What I love about this is you get supplemental aeration. That negative edge is going to act like a skimmer. And if you look across here, you're not going to find any surface debris, and that's because of the jets and the waterfalls and everything are going to sweep all of that floating debris over this little point. So all of that debris is going to cascade down, it's going to churn it up, and then it's going to be deposited along this gravel bed. Down underneath all of this is a layer of aqua blocks. All of that water storage underground, you're going to pick up the geothermal heating and cooling. So the ground is a lot cooler than this upper area where the sun is going to hit. So that's going to help to kind of regulate the temperature a little bit. The other thing that this does is it keeps a specific amount of water out of the sun. Here in the tropics, or anywhere for that matter, you're going to have a high rate of photosynthesis. We have shallow water, we have an abundance of sunshine, we have nutrients in the water that causes planktonic algae blooms. By taking a certain percentage of that water and keeping it cooler, keeping it in the dark, which is the important part, it's going to limit the amount of photosynthetic production, which is going to help with the overall water clarity and water quality. By having this high rate of dissolved oxygen coming through, you can see as that water tumbles over those boulders. That's going to increase dissolved oxygen, And the pumps are located inside of here. The pumps are going to discharge the water into the jets, as well as the waterfall on top and the biological filter. That's going to help to round out the entire system. These little backwater areas, I just love them. Inside of here, he has discus fish, he has scats, he has some tilapia, he has catfish, he has barramundi, and the important part is, in an ecosystem pond like this, is he has a trophic system. So he has planktivores, so he has these small fish which are going to feed on plankton. Then he has different animals that will go up the trophic level all the way up to the piscivorous fish. That would be the barramundi. He's going to eat some of these smaller fish. So that rounds out the entire ecosystem for us. This is what it's all about. We're going out into the wild here in Australia. We're looking at the different habitats, the lakes, the rivers. We're finding the different animal species, and then we've recreated the system right here. The beauty of this is it's creating an aquatic environment the way nature intended. Being filtered with aquatic plants, microorganisms, enzymes, having the proper circulation, having the right animals that are living inside of it. This has been an incredible project. This has been an incredible journey here to Australia. Patrick is definitely taking care of us. I'm looking forward to following this pond as it continues to evolve the way it should, because it's going to get better and better with time. Water the way nature intended it. All right, we'll see you on the next project.